Good evening. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Bliss Pickup. I know y'all wanted to see Jess. Um, she putting in work with her PTO. I'm just gonna say that. We might have to make some changes. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not gonna say our front office don't hold people accountable over here. That's not gonna happen. So yeah, we might have to make some changes in there. But listen, man, welcome to the Bliss Pickup. Today, I wanted to bring this comment up. I'm sorry. Gamebo 305, you a legend. I'm sorry. He said, if the Bliss pickup ever gave my eulogy, they will show up after the service is over, except Alex. Shout out to you, Gameboy 305. I'm gonna need you to start having that same energy for Jess because she missing a little bit too many shows and she just got here. But shout out to y'all. But listen, man, we gonna talk. Obviously, we got breaking news. Darren Waller. We're going to talk about that a little bit here and there. We got some other Dolphin news that we want to talk about. Maybe bring up a couple of these acquisitions that we made, or should I say additions, and how we feel about those, including Minka Fitzpatrick as well. So, but before I do it, let me bring up my co-host real quick. Lou, what's good with you, Lou?
Tone, what's good, dog?
Hey man, you ain't nothing. Mystic, you might be new over here. You're late, always.
Tone. I do want to echo your sentiments though about Game Boy, but no, I listen for a eulogy. If I'm the one putting in the work to send off Game Boy 305 the right way, I would show up early for that. You know what I'm saying? No, no, no.
Good. So
I
you
ain't
can
gonna do
hold it
my
down
boy
till I
like
get there.
that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, man. I seen somebody say oh yeah, Ollie, shout out to you. Yeah, smack around that like button for sure. Cap.
Absolutely.
If you're on time, you early at the Blitz pickup. These are facts. Scott Jackson, you already know. 7:30 is. Well, Vamos Gatos, what's good with you, man? What's good? Miller, say what is breaking? Well, anything we do is, I guess, it's breaking. So, I guess that was breaking news. Mike Best in the building. Shout out to you. What's up, family? He said more like 8. Well, we before 8 o'clock today, so Mystic, we did our thing. But listen, Lou, what's good? What's good? Obviously, what I'm saying, the elephant in the room is Darren Waller. Listen, man, there were some mixed reactions. But it seemed more negative than positive. And they've been going crazy in the spaces, but here on the Blitz Pickup, we have to address everything. So give me your thoughts on what you think about the Darren Waller news.
Well, Tone. Listen, man. I'm not gonna go too crazy on the move, right? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't like because I agreed with you. We kind of talked about the tight end position if we were gonna get rid of John, and even though I don't believe in Tanner Connor or Julian Hill, I when you made the point, do the Dolphins really even use a tight end outside of last year with John Smith? I tend to agree with that. So it wasn't a pressing issue for me. Now I know you didn't like hearing it yesterday in the space, but I'll just say it for me. It is a low risk, high reward, right? Like at the end of
Right.
the day, if he gives you anything, that's the reward. No one's expecting nothing from him. So from that standpoint alone, I would say that's the reward, and the risk is when we kind of got the details of the contract, Tone, it said up to 5 million.
Yes.
I'm going to say that let's say the contract's 1.5, $2 million, 1.8, something around there, the vet minimum, right? And if me and you believe that the Dolphins don't use tight ends, this, that, and the third, and it's all incentives based, and if he doesn't really meet those incentives, right? Like to bring in a guy at $1.5 million, $2 million. Again, Tone, it don't move me either way, bro. I'm not gonna make a big deal about it and be shitting on it, but I'm also not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this is the needle mover. He's our guy. We got our future tight end. I'm just saying, bro. For me, it's really it is what it is at this point. He's a guy that has shown some flashes in the league, but also has some concerns, right? So I don't know what we're gonna get, Tone, but for me, bro, Darren Waller, it is what it is. You know, yeah. I'm not gonna go crazy like some people on Twitter on both sides. It don't excite me, but it don't get me ultra mad neither.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of the people you talk about that went crazy on Twitter. Yes, I did. Mystic say that's exactly my thoughts on Samuel. I guess it's Asante Samuel Jr. So listen, what I will do, since we over here, I got to be more civilized, right? What I will do is point out the positives. He's 6'6". He's a red zone target. We get that, right? So I guess that's a positive. That's a plus. He's Frank Smith's guy. So he was. I think you put me up on game with this, Lou. That he was Frank Smith was his coach over there when he was in Oakland. So I
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Smith had a say so in that. Obviously, we see who his agent is, Drew Rosenhaus. So to uh yeah, he seemed to have his pockets in our front office forever and ever. So that thing right there, that part right there, I'm not really too big of a fan on. Uh, was it Vegas? Was it name in Oakland when he was there? Was they wasn't Vegas when Waller was there? Wasn't they the
Uh,
Oakland Raiders?
he might be talking about now, but either way, it's the Raiders.
Yeah, it was
It ain't gonna matter.
it was Oakland. But yes, so that could give us a red zone target if he uses his size. His blocking. I'm trying to figure out is he a willing blocker? I don't I haven't watched film on him, but I do know he was complaining about them using him at fullback. So to me, that doesn't scream to me a guy that want to be used as a primarily as a blocker. I would say that. So I'm not going to scream and yell like I did in the spaces, but what I would say, cheap, like you said, Lou, it might be. I just seen Rashad put 1.8 million. I don't know if the numbers came out. If it was 1.8 million, that's a low risk, high reward. Technically speaking, low risk, high reward. Okay.
Hey, Tone, real quick. Timothy Washington is in the building, and I just wanted to shout him out, Tone, because
Shout out Timothy. Yes.
the other day he made a comment, and don't think we didn't hear about it or watch it, Tim. And some words were said about maybe me and Tone being, well, not even maybe, me and Tone being the two best debaters in the community, and that was from one Timothy Washington. So, hey, salute to you, Timothy. We heard what you said. We appreciate it, and appreciate you being here.
So yeah, and I see Triple S. I see you say you said fullback blocking and tight end blocking are not the same though. If we're being real, there's not a big difference. Not blocking is blocking. Like I don't know, I don't get it. I mean, I get what you're saying, but blocking is blocking. Um, and mindset. I'm really speaking towards the mindset. So listen, there can be some upside, like you say, coming in cheap. You didn't for sure. We didn't want to pay John Smith. We're not paying. What he got paid? 12, right? He got paid 12
We
over.
got 1 year, 12 million, Tone, with the
We weren't
Pittsburgh
paying that.
Steelers.
So to get him out the building and bring someone in for 1.8, whatever it's going to be, it's incentive base, right? That's all the positive. What I would say to all that is, so what? So what? We could have dealt without that. We didn't have to go out there and invest anything in this guy. From my standpoint, and the reason that I'm saying that is, first of all, their mindset. What you going out to get that guy is, to me, what you insinuating is that you plan on competing, right? And obviously, every team goes in the season planning on competing. But Lou, I'll ask you, and I just need a yes or no question so I can finish, my soliloquy, right? Do Darren Waller all of a sudden make us a AFC Championship team contender?
No,
What about the AFC East contender?
I would say no.
And that's my point. So I would rather you not do anything and play with the guys back, who you have, and just don't give anyone anything to say. Sometimes just not doing too much is good enough. Now, I could see if they were making moves and doing, the whole offseason, doing everything they can to make this team a top contender. But you see what they did, even though there wasn't that many people in free agency, but they were sitting on their hands. We was all under the impression, hey, listen, man, we know what this season is. They're gonna go in the season with what they have. They're not gonna overspend. They understand that they need to position themselves by making, subtle changes to where you could be in a better position come last season. I mean, next season. Cool. Not a problem. But then don't turn around and do this. That's all. I was disappointed. I'll give it to you. I was kind of disappointed because to me it's in mixed signals. And what I hate is I hate for the Greer haters to be out there. You gave them something that I can't even push back on because I don't too much care about the position. And I don't too much care to address that kind of position and address these kind of conversations. So that was my main issue for my rant. I'm just tired of the Dolphins doing the same old, and it seemed like moves that they making don't do nothing. Unnecessary moves. I think we need to eliminate that. It's called, to me, you know what they call? It's called trimming the fat. You know, that was an extra move that you didn't have to. Learn how to trim the fat. Just get straight to the point, and that's it. And that was my disappointment with it. But to your point, Lou, I don't care what. I'm not expecting nothing from him. I don't think he could help us out, and I don't think it's a big deal if he doesn't do anything. It's more of what is your mindset, and show me that you know how to stick to a plan and see it through. That was my whole issue, right? But yeah, it's not a big deal. But I do got a couple questions for the chat or people to listen. Shout out to the 27 of y'all in the building. Hit that like button on the way in. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and put the notification on all. Frank Smith was one of his guys. I mentioned that, right? So he possibly coming over here thinking is with a familiar face. He's going to give me some production, and my contract is incentive based. So it's based on how I produce, how much money I get paid. That's the first red flag for me. First signal went up. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? And the first thing I said that could create a possible problem is we have an 88 to 89% chance that Tua don't even make it out of September. These are facts. Lou brought this to our attention. 3 out of the last 4 seasons, Tua didn't make it out of September. Now, I don't know how much faith. I know Lou is a Zaccaneer, right? Tua's a Zaccaneer, but when Tua goes down, this team it looks completely different. You know, everyone numbers drop drastically, and that's for every team. Let's not act like it's only a Tua thing. You know, I'm not gonna say that, but that's for every team. But if he goes down, boom, that's a possible problem, right? Cool. You know what I'm saying? Then on top of that, if his performance start to drop, is he gonna start to be disgruntled? Is he gonna start to wondering? Was it worth his risk coming out of coming out of retirement? You know, is he gonna start having resentment? I don't really want that. I don't. And those are minor issues for me because that's more personally. But my main issue, which I'm going to reiterate over here because I'm not letting anyone get away with this, is mindset. We're talking about a dude that not only complained about blocking, whether it's at the fullback or a tight end, but he also questioned his love for the sport. Now, with that in mind, everyone that had a problem with Jalen Phillips and him questioning his ability, y'all shouldn't want him nowhere near us. Right? Everyone that questioned Tua when he looked in the mirror and asked himself, do he suck? Y'all shouldn't want a guy like Darren Waller nowhere near here. And then on the last but not least, everyone that questioned when Javon Hollis went live and rubbing that ball cat and was in his feelings, right? Talking about, oh, y'all gave up on us. Y'all give up on us too much. Y'all shouldn't. If any one of you guys had a problem with them, any 3 of those guys, then you shouldn't want a guy like Darren Waller near our franchise. And that's my biggest gripe with this move. Cool, he coming off retirement. That's bad enough. But then a guy that questioned his love for the game, and you're going to bring him to this locker room with all this, we changing the culture narrative? You missed me with that. I can't let you get away with that because I'm focusing more on your mindset, and action speaks louder than words.
Well, those are all facts. Listen, there will be no pushback in the area of that. I do want to address one of the things you said though when you were talking about, let's say he doesn't, because his contract again is incentive based. If he's
Mhm.
not getting balls thrown to him, pause, or he's not
Passes.
getting
Yeah.
his yardage or whatever, right? If he could be a problem in the locker room, I would say for me, and I'm just this is the way I would move. Hopefully, the organization tone will look at it the same way. If the contract is 1.8 or whatever, its guaranteed money has to be very slim to none,
Yeah. Yeah. Slim
right?
to nothing.
At that point, bro, if you're not throwing him or featuring him or whatever, he's not giving you nothing, just cut him, right? Because it's only a 1 year deal anyway. So I just wanted to say that. Now, from the mindset standpoint, I have no pushback. I'm just saying, Tone, from the money standpoint,
Yeah.
with like him being a problem in the locker room, if he's not getting used or whatever, nah, bro, I'll just release him at that point. Because it's not like we're gonna carry dead cap or he's one of these $20+ million players. He's a vet minimum type guy. That's a quick fix. You give us any problems about your usage, we getting you up out of here. But
Hey,
other than that, Tone, besides your points about the mindset and stuff, you're spot on though. There's no pushback in that.
what do you think about this right here? Mystic said, "How do we know this isn't a camp body move
It could be true, bro. That's a very good point by Mister.
for
Because
bringing a guy out of retirement to be
I
a
get it,
camp
Tone. But
body?"
what happens if he don't even make the roster though? That is the possibility too.
Now, I'll tell you this: when his contract comes out, and it has no, you know what? No, I can't even say that because if he don't make the roster, Lou, we still gave up a conditional 6 for him. If you're a camp body, you don't invest in any type of draft capital. You know what I'm saying? Not for a camp body. For that, you bring him off the streets and be like, man, listen. But he couldn't. He wasn't like he
Well,
was
I
under
agree with that.
contract.
So
So
no, I do agree with that. Yeah.
so you can't just tell me you're going to invest in draft capital and say, oh, he's a camp body, huh?
No,
Please
I
make sense out
I
of
do
that,
see that. Yeah, I see
right?
your point on that. Right.
So, but yeah, I'm not gonna kill him too much, and I don't want to waste time on it. Oh my bad, I brought up Benjamin. His message because I Benjamin, I 100% agree with you. I hate this team. They got us talk about Darren Waller.
Who?
Oh, now you ain't say who when they brought in Darren Waller, but now you want to talk about my boy
No,
Ben.
no. I'm talking about whose comment you highlighted?
My boy Ben.
Who?
Oh no, Lou. Tell me what you think about this comment, Lou. Vinsanity5 says the Blitz pickup has the best PTO and vacation day policy.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, Tone. You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, Tone? Me and you should be asking. I don't know if me and Tony's PTO must not be getting approved by the Blitz pickup.
Lou, I was trying to figure out. We've been here from day one. We need to
Yeah,
go up to
I
HR.
don't know what is going on here.
We might. Oh, I'm here and drunk. Lord have mercy.
Oh Lord have mercy.
Oh
Well,
God.
Well, hey, hi to you too, Jess.
She said we outside. Oh wait, hold on, Lou. We got to give her some slack. She said love my 2 co-hosts. I would love us too if we gonna carry you like this. I ain't gonna lie.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Oh Ben say. Laugh out loud. Hey, I've been working crazy. I've been MIA. Don't even start. Yeah, well, Ben. Hey, man, you know how I get. He said maybe the PTO is being stolen. Wow, Ali, we might have to look into that. Ali said, "Is it because Alex is in charge of HR?"
Hey, yo.
Hey,
Hey.
Yo. Misty say the Phillies game got her drinking for sure. That's a fact. Yeah, Phillies. I will be drinking too. But yeah, Lou. So yeah, like I say, that camp body is out of the question because you're not going to invest in draft capital in a guy that you're going to bring in just for a camp body. Now that right there would make no sense at all. So to me, it seemed as if they had they have intentions of using him, and him making his team. Mike Best, shout out to Mike Best. Mike Best said, Alex is like John Cena, you can't see him. But I wanted to get into something else, Lou. Wait, hold on. you remember the contenders and I was like, what type of move this make him? I got a question for you. Um,
What
based
happened, Tone? What'd you say?
the contenders, you remember I asked you, was he going to be a contender? Does he make this team a contender?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do this, and I know not from your personal like, oh, me looking at the schedule and I'm looking at the win loss record, and this is my opinion. Do you think them making a move like this and bringing in um Minka Fitzpatrick, right? Getting what they got from Minka Fitzpatrick. Do you think we should hold them more to the fight? Because I know you came in with the mindset like, man, I already know what they're doing. You think they was gonna basically have that slight small rebuild after next season? Should we put more expectations on them now based on the last two moves that they made?
As far as the team, I would say no. Well, at least not for this season, Tone. But that's what's so interesting about the Minka Fitzpatrick deal is, or bringing him back. He's 28 years old, right? We know obviously he's been not a a Pro Bowler, right? He's been an
Mm-hmm.
All Pro in this league, right? And Tone, what you've always said was when we used to have the conversations about Javon Holland, where are his big play abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are some of these game changing plays? If you look up and down Minka Fitzpatrick's career, it's an interception when it's needed. It's a tackle when it's needed. The plays are there, right? So to answer your question from the standpoint of this season, no, my expectations don't change. But I think it was you yesterday, Tony, in the Twitter space when you brought up the Minka Fitzpatrick deal of maybe being one of those guys for the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking about the Darren Waller, you were like, well, this move doesn't help us now or for the future, but Minka does. I think when you look, that's why I'm so hesitant. I don't think it's a complete rebuild like we were in 2019, Tone, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think a soft reset, though. I think me and you both understand Tyreek won't be here next year. Obviously, Ramsey's already gone. Bradley Chubb's, for the most part, is probably gone. You're probably looking at Jalen Phillips being gone as well. But then you turn around and you look at the guys like A-Chain here, Waddle
Mm-hmm.
here, Minka
Mm-hmm.
here, Malik Washington here. Building block. Look at the Ollie Gordons and the Jalen Wright. Those guys here. Patrick Pauls of the world here, right? So I think you have
Are
a
we talking
strong
about
foundation
foundational pieces?
when you talk about the foundation, Tone, right? You got guys like when I think about the 2019-2020 rebuild, that's you're starting from the ground up. I
Mm.
think next year and moving forward, the Dolphins do have young pieces, right? And even like the Storm Ducks of the world, could you imagine if he takes a step up or Patrick McMorris takes another step up? Those guys, cheap young guys that can be productive, and then you just build the roster throughout there. So I know I kind of went long-winded, Tone, but
Yeah.
short answer for this season, expectations don't change. But moving forward, I would say I got to see how the organization and the team do it. But no, I think my expectations moving forward should change, especially if we get rid of Tua, like I'm predicting after the season. So
Yeah.
hopefully that
Again,
answered your question.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like on the same lines of how you feeling. Um, 41 of y'all that brother, please hit that like button and make sure y'all hit that subscribe button if y'all not subscribed. Benjamin says, doesn't the Mika trade feel similar to the to when Ramsey got signed? Do you think he's here on a decline? No, for he's younger, so that's the first thing that I'm gonna say. He's younger, and he's had, let's say they couldn't, some people say he had a down season. Well, the past two seasons was a down season, but a down season from him is still better than majority of the league, right? And I have confidence, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm so. First of all, I'm a big Mika fan. I've been a Mika man since he's been got here. I didn't want that man to go nowhere, right? And then second of all, I have very high expectations from what I think Anthony Weaver could do with him. Like let's not forget. I don't know if it was Anthony Weaver. I know Anthony Weaver more of a defensive line specialist, but what Kyle Hamilton, where he changed in one season, where he switched from and became right, it turned that man into an All Pro. He was getting cooked his first season, so I'm interested in what Anthony Weaver and how he might use him and it might help us out. Ali said, Tonio Lewis, with the addition of Darren Waller, does the move means? I mean, does the move mean the Dolphins could keep more tight ends than we normally do, or on the roster, and less wide receivers than we normally do? No, I don't think so, because you still have the Westbrook Akines, you still got the Malik Washingtons, you still got the Taj Washingtons. You know,
Mm.
I think we got rid of Johnu, so we bought. It's not like we kept Johnu and then
What
bought in
what
Dan
do we
Waller.
got? What do we got in the tight end room right now? And so we got
Connor
Rucci,
Williams, Rucci,
Tanner Connor,
Tanner Connor, and
Julian Hill,
I said
and
Connor
Darren
Williams. I
Waller.
mean Tanner. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Julian Hill and what?
So
So
we
we
got
got
four.
four. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
had four
Nah,
last year.
I don't think those four make the roster. I think you
No,
carry three this season for sure, and one on the practice squad or whatever. I can see Rucci being Rucci being a practice squad guy you keep around or whatever. But I don't think, because I believe we carried four tight ends last year, correct? On the roster, on the 53.
no, I don't think so, because I don't think Connor made it.
No, didn't he make it? But he got hurt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got injured, but wasn't
But
that
I think
before the season
I think
started though? I'm not
but
sure.
I
Now
think
that part I'm not sure,
yeah, I think he did make it though, and I think I don't know. Either way, I think this season they carried three, and a practice squad makes it four. But
because I don't think
just three.
Hayden Rucci started off on the team. I think he started off on the practice squad.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is a
yeah, yeah.
this is a good question right here. How long would it take Waller to learn the playbook? It took Jono half a season. That's a good question. I'm not sure, but hey, listen, they invested in him, so they
But
have confidence.
this is the thing. I don't think I don't think early they're gonna have plans. Just like Johnu last year, I don't think they had plans for him to give them anything last year. I don't think. See, I think when I see comments like this, or about how long will it take, I think that they're gonna allow it to take as long as it takes, right? Because I don't think he's in the future, bro. We gotta understand. It's Tyreek 1, Waddle 2, A Chain 3, Malik Washington 4, maybe throwing in some Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon more running the ball. Darren Waller is probably fifth, sixth, maybe even seventh option of guys you're looking to get the ball in their hands, right? I think we got to lower our expectations as Dolphin fans of what Darren Waller's coming in here to do. It's virtually nothing, bro. If I'm going to be honest. I know
That's
we
my
keep getting
mindset too.
questions. We keep getting these questions talking about Darren Waller, and again, especially like that one. How long does it take? It doesn't really matter. I don't think the
Yeah.
Dolphins are looking at a guy like Darren Waller with like, oh, we got to get him on the ground and running ASAP. I don't think that's the move.
And don't forget, Frank Smith was the guy that. So I think he might have a at least that from a language standpoint, he might have an advantage there because Frank Smith obviously was working with him when he was at the Raiders. Minka will be Josh Allen's boogeyman for years to come. Speaking of Minka, and I know you were saying, why with Minka on the team, and he could be a possible foundational piece for at least the near future. Because even though he's not up there in age, he is approaching the age where you say he's up there in age. Um, are you concerned that we haven't heard anything from him since we traded for him? Like there was no press conference, there's no posting, no nothing, no mention of him. He basically zero dark 30. And I would like to point out that uh even though it's a 2 year, technically we have him for 2 years, we know he's not going to play for those 2 years without asking for more money. And I'm not sure how much he's guaranteed this year, but after this year, there's no more guarantee. We know that for a fact.
Well,
So
I think this year's contract, the cap hit is like 15 million. Either
mhm.
way, bro, I think I don't think I wouldn't make it a big issue yet. We don't even know if Minka Fitzpatrick is in the country right now, right? And I'm just speculating. I'm just saying he could be on vacation right now,
Yeah,
right?
facts.
He could be with his family doing whatever. At the end of the day, bro, again, has Jalen Ramsey had a press conference? Has Jonnu Smith said anything or had a press? No. So at the end of the day, um, as of right now, if you're asking me concern level, Tone, no, I'm not concerned with that. I did want to bring up something though, Tone, and I should have sent it to you. I don't know if I did. I'm gonna get that to you here in a little bit though. So I forgot who the reporter was, but she's credible. She has to be credible. She has over 56,000 subscribers or Patreon members or whatever. She's a writer for ESPN.com. And Tone, you, me, and a lot of other people always talk about mindsets, right? Dogs, Tone. And what have I been telling y'all? I can see the argument. Y'all want Tua to be the leader. We obviously know he's not, right? I need someone to come in here and be the leader. Haven't I been saying that, Tone?
100% facts.
Check this story out, Tone. Actually, she writes for ESPN.com, but she follows the Pittsburgh Steelers. She wrote a story about Minka Fitzpatrick 2 years ago. Now, imagine being in an NFL locker room, right? Now you look at the center. You look in the center of that locker room, Tone. Usually the teams have their dog, like a logo, like the Steelers logo, Dolphin logo, whatever, right? Minka Fitzpatrick wrote the logo of the Pittsburgh Steelers off. He roped it off, right? The reason behind that is because he told the players in that locker room he was tired of seeing people step on the logo. He wants that logo to be clean off and on the field. When I hear that, Tone, and everybody in the chat, I think of that as off the field, we can't have no issues, right? We can't be in the news for all these bad reasons. We gotta keep the logo clean in that aspect. And then on the field, no one's coming in here and messing with this logo. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That when you do that, Tone, when players walk into that locker room and they see that shit roped off and they're like, oh, what's going on? And he delivers that message, that's dog right there, Tone. That's the mindset that this team has been missing, Tone. You see what I'm saying?
That's the key word you just said, or key phrase. Mindset. That's all we were looking for. Mindset. See, when I want to evaluate players, or I ain't gonna say evaluating them, right? But when I see people and I figure and I say, man, would I like for this guy to be a part of this team? Mindset is the first thing I go to. Why? Because to me, that's our biggest issue. Mindset. Because the talent is there. Unquestionable. The talent is there. No one could question that. But it's the mindset. You talk too much. Not enough actions. You know what I didn't hear you say about that logo, Lou? I didn't hear you say one thing. Oh, he told them to stop doing it. No. He went and made sure they couldn't do it and explained to them why they couldn't do it. That's mindset. That's action.
Facts.
You get what I'm saying? He didn't be like, hey, yo, y'all, I'll prefer y'all. No. I'm for to lock this up. And if y'all want to know why it's like that, because it's not whether you're going to have a choice of doing it. And I'm letting you know that it's not going to happen, period. Because I'm not accepting that. I'm holding a standard. Mindset. I'm sorry. But that's the type of stuff that I look for. Because that's the type of people. Remember when I said, Lou, we need to start getting some dogs in here with that mindset so they can start outnumbering the people that don't have that type of mindset. And I think he might be one of your type dudes, Lou. I don't care what they do in that locker room. You ain't changing his mindset.
Hey, Tone, he's walking in here with a different mindset. Ain't no, Tone, I couldn't have said it better myself, the way you said it. I just brought up the story, but you solidified the point when you said, see, it's not about telling him or telling the people what they weren't going to do or whatever. No, he actually did something about it.
Facts.
He walked in there and said, oh, no. Before I tell you what the reasoning is, let me show you what the reasoning is.
Actually speak loud in the words every time.
Ain't no talking about it. I don't care if y'all don't like it or not, because the job is already done. And I want one of y'all to cross this road. That's what he was letting everybody know. Hey, I already wrote this thing off. Now I want one of y'all to try me and come across this road and see what happens. Yeah. Tone, that's the mindset right there. That's what it is.
You say, let's look at the wide receiver here. Have to cover in the north. I mean, is the north wide receiver better than the east wide receivers? I would say so. I mean, in Buffalo, they don't have pretty much anyone over there.
Well, okay, but in Pittsburgh, they got DK Metcalf. So okay, all right.
Yeah. Basically, the wide receivers that he was going, because he was in Pittsburgh, so he would be going up with the Zay Flowers and the
Who you talking about?
I'm guessing they talk about Minka. Which he's a safety though. He wasn't going against the
Yeah,
receivers.
he's not going against them anyway. Yeah,
unless he got to worry about a deep threat and things of that nature. But
I would say he would probably be matched up more against tight ends.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing. Now, what are the tight ends? Or you got Mike Gesicki. You don't think Minka Fitzpatrick can guard Mike Gesicki coming out of Cincinnati?
The Jets do have receivers. They got Wilson and do they still got Adams gone? So they
again, but again, Minka's not really gonna be guarding.
Yeah, no. I was answering Mike Best about none of them have receivers, and then Stephon Diggs is in Buffalo. But yeah, he's not have to worry about. He's not gonna have to worry about them. Them receivers out there in the north is crazy. You know what I'm saying? They got Chase over there. Well, you know, Cincy one of the ones.
Yeah, but and again, though, Tone. See, this is what I'm saying. Okay, cool. We know what Jamar Chase is, and T. Higgins is a very good receiver, but Tyreek Hill is still one of them ones, whether we like him or not. Again, Waddle, right? And then I could debate Malik Washington is better than any third receiver that Cincinnati has. Y'all can't even tell me Google who the third receiver is in Cincinnati.
That's a fact. So
if you're going to tell me that Malik Washington is probably not better, right? Or Westbrook-Akine caught 9 touchdowns last year. You got Armstrong that you brought in as a UDFA out of Arkansas. I believe. Mm-hmm. Right? He led the SEC in total yards from scrimmage last year. You got him as a UDFA. All I'm saying is it's hard for me to contend that the Dolphins do not have the best wide receiver core or one of the best in the league.
You can't say that.
Bro, let's not talk about our feelings, Tone. I'm not saying they are the best, but name me 5 wide receiver cores from a complete unit that's better than Miami.
You're not gonna. I mean, once you get past Atlanta, not Atlanta.
Philly,
once you get past Cincinnati and Philly,
it's hard to debate.
Yeah. I mean, stop right there. Once you get to Cincinnati and Philly, okay, they have an argument. No, wait. Nah, I can't say that because I was gonna say Dallas, but no.
Well, how about Minnesota with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison?
But you said you said dual or receiving core?
Well, I'm just saying group as a whole.
As a whole, yeah, no.
6 or 7 receivers in there as a unit.
Yeah,
right?
No, I think not.
I'm saying the Dolphins could again. The argument could be made that the Dolphins have one of the best receiving cores in the league.
Tanja Bowman said he can't guard Likely or Andrews, nor Zay Flowers. Seen it twice a week. How well, we'll see. I bet you did, and we played them this season, right? Baltimore, yeah, we do. We play that whole division.
So, and I would say I don't know
at home.
And again, we would have to look. I don't know how much he's guarding those guys or whatever, but I do know his defense. Don't Baltimore always have problems with Pittsburgh? I think Baltimore for the last 2 or 3 seasons, or I think maybe at least the last 2 have a losing record against the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So listen, I'm not going to sit there and argue about it or whatever. I think for what we had in the room, is Minka Fitzpatrick not better than anything we had?
Yes.
Especially getting rid of disgruntled Jalen Ramsey. I've seen a couple tweets coming out, Tone, Minka Fitzpatrick is washed, this, that, and the third. And again, I'm not here to argue with that because Pittsburgh fans would probably know that more than we would, right? All I'm saying is, though, if that's the argument, if Minka Fitzpatrick is washed and can't play no more, well, then I'm sorry to tell Pittsburgh Steelers fans this, but Jalen Ramsey is even worse. So if that's the argument, you still lose in that debate. Because Jalen Ramsey is even worse than Minka Fitzpatrick, if that's going to be the argument.
So I mean, we talked about Minka, but I want to talk about something else. We already 40 minutes in, so we had a pretty good conversation back and forth. You know, Lou, you have always had this standpoint, and you stood on your square every time this type of debate comes up and comes around, which is the GMs and putting together teams and how much credit or how much um responsibility do we put on him when it comes to how this team perform, right? And I know you're a big component of, listen, man, his job is to get the talent in the building. You cannot um you cannot blame him for the talent not producing or executing plays, right? So what I would say is, at what capacity do you start to say, all right, I need my GM to start doing better? Like, I know you had a conversation and you was trying to figure out, and I would like to get your mindset and your thought process on, or your thoughts on, what do you consider a successful, I guess, season, or a GM being successful or doing his job? What type of, what do you consider? Does it go with the team winning? Does it go with just the way he could construct the team? Like, how? Just give me your thought process of what do you consider? Okay, that GM did his job. I'm cool with what he's done.
Well, to answer your first part of your question, Tone, I would say when is it that I want the general manager to be better? That would be now. That would be last year. That would be the year before. It's already been that. I just don't go as far to say, Tone, that I want Chris Greer fired or he's the worst general manager in the league. These people, Tone, and we interact with the same people on a day-to-day basis. They blame him if they see Tua Tagovailoa walk out at practice and his shoes untied. That's Chris Greer's fault. And all I'm saying is, bro, for me, no, no, no. Again, we got to understand a general manager, his title is to bring talent to the organization, right? I don't care what your feelings are. That's what a general manager's job title is. We're always talking about what these titles are, what they mean. Okay, cool. Let me show you what it means. He brought in Jalen Ramsey, a guy that has been an all-pro player and a Super Bowl champion. Tyreek Hill, Calais Campbell, all these guys. Christian Wilkins, he drafted. Zach Seiler, he brought in. Drafted Xavier Howard, people want to give him credit for. Drafted Jalen Waddle. There's talent on this team. I'm sorry, Tone, but I'm not going to blame Chris Greer because Tyreek Hill dropped a pass or Tua Tagovailoa missed the read. This is the argument, Tone. People tell us all the time, well, he hired Mike McDaniel and Mike McDaniel is not the right man for the job. Okay, cool. I could hear that argument. But the only reason I don't want to hear the argument is because the same people that make that argument, Tone, want to kill Chris Greer, but love Brian Flores. I got a question for everybody.
Uh-oh.
Who hired Brian Flores?
Mm.
People tell me Brian Flores should still be the head coach of the job, which I'm not debating. I maybe agree with those people. But again, if the argument is, well, we got to get rid of Chris Greer because he brought in all these people, well, he also brought in Brian Flores. Does he get credit for that? You see how the hypocrisy is? No,
yeah.
Well, Tone, you just said it. He should, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say a comment like that, you know who will give him credit and realize what I'm saying? You. That's why I decided to do a show with you and debate you and have conversations with you. Because at the end of the day, these are good conversations to have. But I'm just tired of arguing with people that are in their feelings, bro. For me, I'm again, my approach is taking what the team gives me. And I'm sorry, bro. The argument is the team hasn't been good enough. 2 years ago, they were playing week 16 for the number 1 overall seed. What team do you know, Tone, that is not right, is built the wrong way, can't compete, but in week 16 of the season, they're playing for the number 1 seed in the conference? What sorry team does that? Have you ever seen the Jets, sorry, do that?
No.
Have you seen the Patriots do that when they were sorry?
I mean, I seen the Jets do it back then when they had with
but
Mark
they weren't,
Sanchez.
again, that's the point. But they weren't sorry back then. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, right.
That's the point. I'm asking for the people that think the team has been sorry and they can't compete. What team do you know that is sorry is week 16 playing for the number 1 overall seed? Which ones do that?
Mm.
Again, that's fine. See, this is what I'm talking about. And shout out to Kenna. No disrespect. But when Kenneth says, so should playoff appearances be the judge? I don't know. All I'm saying is, though, the team had a 3-game lead with 5 games to go in the division with the boogeyman Josh Allen. Within the AFC, Lamar Jackson was
Lamar
playing.
Jackson.
Patrick Mahomes was playing. Kansas City and Baltimore still played. Mike Tomlin was still the coach of the Steelers when they were with a 3-game lead and playing for the overall number 1 seed. I know we don't make the playoffs and won a playoff game. I'm not blaming Chris Grier for that. Is the point. He's done a job to where this team should be competing. But if Tua cannot hit the backside of my F-150 if it's parked on the in the logo in the 50-yard line, is that his fault? If Malik Washington drops a pass or Tyreek Hill drops a pass or a defensive lineman misses the tackle, that's on Chris Grier too? So Chris Grier has to be perfect. Tone, you heard me the other day or today in the Twitter space. If we're going to go by that logic, now I know Philadelphia has won Super Bowls. Cool. People are going to call me crazy. But that same general manager that we love in Philadelphia, in 2023, he built a team, Tony, that lost 6 straight games and went to the wild card weekend and got beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why didn't he build a good roster in 2023? Oh, wait, he did. You know what the problem was, Tone? Jalen Hurts, in those moments that he needed to be the best, he didn't show up. And maybe sometimes they miss tackles. And you know what also they had in 2023, Tone? The greatest general manager in the game. I think statistically, by the numbers and the grades, we know people love numbers and grades around here, right, Tone? The Philadelphia Eagles, EPAs and pie charts, all that stuff, Tone. You know what the Eagles had in 2023? The worst ranked defense in the league. Who put that out there, Tone? Who created that worst defense in the league?
That would be Howie Roseman.
But we love Howie Roseman, though, right?
Yeah.
No, we love them when we win. And you know what wins games? Not general managers. Players in between the white lines that are throwing passes, catching balls, and making tackles. So, hey, Tone, again, I got on my Tony bag today. I went a little long. But no, bro, I'm tired of the Chris Grier slander. Does he need to be better? Yes. But does he need to be blamed for every damn thing? No, I'm sorry, he does not.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have healthy debates, and I want to point out the fact that, listen, for a lot of the stuff that you were saying, well, for the most part, everything you were saying, no, you shouldn't blame them for everything and things of that nature. At some point, and now you know what? I know you just went up, but I would like to ask you this: at what point do you start saying, "Well, I need you to do more," or do you think you don't think we need more from him?
Absolutely, Tone. We need, but this is what I'm saying. Again, explain to me this. I'll answer your question. Yes, but answer me this, Tone. What do you think he could have done more?
For now that is going down a rabbit hole, because what I think he could have done differently is, I'll go back to the Tua thing. I'll go back to paying Ramsey, and I'm talking about extending him, right? I'll go back to franchising Mike Gesicki. I'll go back to not handling the Robert Hunt thing early. I'm not gonna kill him for Christian Wilkins, because Christian Wilkins wasn't that guy. Robert Hunt was. But I will say this: I don't expect him to be perfect. And I think that's the difference between when I criticize him. I understand that GMs are going to make mistakes. They're not going to be perfect, right? But if I have to point out certain things that I would prefer him do a better job in, it would be with those type of things, as far as the players that are already in here and learning how to navigate it to where it doesn't become a problem. Even if you make a mistake, I don't need that mistake to linger around. Like a Tua Tagovailoa. To me, I believe extending him was a mistake, and now that mistake is lingering around. But to your credit, and I'm gonna give you some credit, because I like to argue both sides, because that's why I do this, right? I'm gonna give you some credit of things that I think is absolutely ridiculous. Because I heard you say, I forgot who it was. I think it was Von Joe. Shout out, I ain't seen my dog Von Joe in the chat yet. Von Joe, you ain't in here, bro. We're gonna have to have some conversations about this. Cause Lou, what that word you like to use? A couple discrepancies. We had to point out
Yeah,
the
there's some
discrepancies.
discrepancies. Absolutely.
So I would say this. When we talk about GMs, so I wouldn't, what's the GM name? Ozzie Newsome over there but he's not there no more. But I like to point out
I
this.
believe it. I believe it's DaCosta. Something DaCosta
Costa,
is
yeah,
the
right.
general manager.
But
Yeah.
people, for the most part, would say that franchise is well ran. They front office, they identify their players, they bring them in, right? So, and you give them credit. But I would like to point out this, Lou, do y'all keep the same energy because he assembled that team, right? So the players and that's what we're doing with Greer, right? Do y'all blame him for having Mark Andrews on that field in that playoff game?
Because he costed them the game.
A 2-point conversion. Lamar Smith ran out. All he had to do is catch the ball. That's what he get paid to do. Are we keeping the same energy for Baltimore? Because he assembled that team and that team failed. Right? I'm just trying to figure that out. Because when I criticize them, I'm going to criticize all the way around, but I'm going to be fair with it. So I just want to know how y'all feel about that. What else should that GM have done when it came to that game? Should he have? Because I'm going to be real with you. That whole season, and I know this for a fact because I had Mark Andrews. He wasn't the Mark Andrews as of late. And the season prior to that, he wasn't Mark Andrews. Right? Isaiah Likely was clearly the better player the past 2 seasons. Clearly.
And he kept them around, though, right, Tom?
Kept them around. I will criticize him for that. But I think our fan base would say, oh, Mark Andrews was this type of guy, and he's been this, and you don't just move off a player like that gave you that much production. And I'm like, when it's for the betterment of the team, those are what you get paid for as a GM and as a front office to understand. Even if you keep it around, in that part, at that particular point on the field, it's the best player, not the player that was had the most longevity or that was the best player before, and you giving him seniority and you giving him grace because what he have gave you prior, right? No. We knew Isaiah Likely was Ed DaCosta, she said. We knew Isaiah Likely was the best player for the past 2 seasons. I would have preferred you go to Isaiah Likely. Now, are we putting that on Lamar Jackson for choosing Mark Andrews? Because Mark Andrews was wide open for the most part. Or are we putting that on Mark Andrews for not completing the catch? That's what you get paid millions of dollars to do. Right?
Hey, Tone, real quick, not to cut you off, I just want to know, because Joseph Bell, shout out to him. He's always watching and listening and stuff like that. He always even leaves comments after the show about our show. I just see him talking a lot in the chat, and it's real easy to talk. And I know you got Google, and you can use it, and that's going to be cute. And I just want to know, from your standpoint, and Tone, I'm sorry, keep cooking. But Joseph Bell, please get Chris Greer up out of here. I'm conceding the argument to you. Tell me who you want. Because when we have these conversations and debates, Tone, it's great, right? It's content. But all these people, and Tone, you hear me say this all the time. People just be talking. Give me the name. Who's coming in here to Miami and being the general manager all y'all want? Please, somebody. Give me a name. And go ahead, Tone. My fault. I don't want. But Joseph Bell specifically, because you're in the chat. Give me, who do you want as the general manager?
Good point. Von Joe, you say his name, he like Candyman. He pops up. Sean, I see you in the building, my dog Tony Lou, man. Listen, again, man, it's still 38 of y'all in the building. Please hit that like button. Subscribe. Y'all get subscribed. Get the fella and the lady. She's not up here right now. The ladies and gentlemen, I'm just saying, ladies, get us up to the 600 mark. We would appreciate y'all for doing that. But listen, like I was saying, Mark Andrews was wide open. Lamar Jackson went to this guy who supposed to be all reliable, right? And I want to point out the difference because I could tell Lewis every time, right? Every time I could tell him, listen, the GM job do not stop there. It doesn't, right? But I can also concede the fact that if if Mark Andrews catch that pass, Baltimore Ravens have an opportunity to win a playoff game. Plus execution. Baltimore Ravens had the opportunity to go and compete for a Super Bowl. So when we do say, hey, get Greer out of here, he's not doing his job, I think don't forget about the players. Because I'm me, and Lewis say this all the time. I could debate Lewis about what Chris Greer failures are, because I also point out the fact, the players, right, are the reason that I'm even saying this. Because if the players are executing, right, like in Baltimore at the beginning of the season, at the beginning of the game with number one spot in the AFC conference on the line, Tyreek dropped a wide open touchdown. If he catch that pass, it might be a different game. In that same game, right, it was 2 minutes and 9 seconds. 2 minutes and 2 seconds to go at halftime. We was down by 11 points, right? No, it wasn't 11 points. I'm sorry. I think we're down by 8 points, right? In a pivotal game, Tua throws. No, we were down 13. Sorry, we're down 13. Tua throws an interception in our own side of the field, on our own side of the field, that put Baltimore in a perfect position to put more points on the scoreboard.
1,000%, Tom. But
And
you're bringing up
ahead,
that, right? You're bringing up that. Remember how they say Tua can't play? And this is what I'm saying. They make me defend Tua when I don't want to. Remember the narrative Tua can't play in the cold? Valid, right? Yeah, valid. But why don't they also bring up, remember the game in Buffalo that we lost by 3 points? I think that was the 2023 season. Didn't Tyreek Hill drop a touchdown? And then right after that, Trent Sherfield dropped a touchdown?
Did it, back to back. Mm-hmm.
Didn't they go back to back?
Yeah, but both of them dropped back to back plays. They dropped the touchdown.
All I'm saying is, if we score a touchdown there, don't we win the game?
Possibly. Yep.
Okay, cool.
I don't like saying winning the game because it could be a different outcome, but yes, that's for sure. 7 with an extra 4 points on the scoreboard would have helped us out.
Right.
Hands down.
Now, question for you, Tone, real quick, because I'm not a math major. I don't think you're a math major, but forget about the math at that point. I just want to ask you, when you were watching that game and you seen Tyreek Hill drop the touchdown and Trent Sherfield drop the touchdown, I want to ask you and everybody in the chat, what could Chris Greer have done in that moment?
He should have went on the field, not only hiked the ball, he should have threw the ball to himself and caught the touchdown.
So real quick,
but
and
nothing,
this is
though.
where, Tone, check this out, Tone. We hold people accountable over here, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Joseph Bell says, it's not my job to determine who the general manager of the team. I don't have to read the whole thing. That's basically what he meant. Cool. Let me go and find it real quick, right? Cool. See, this is the problem, Tone, when I say people just be talking. So it's not his job to determine who the next general manager is, but it's his job to tell me that I have no idea what I'm talking about. So it's your job to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But when I ask you a specific question, who would you like as a general manager? You have no answer, but, I want Chris Greer out of here because he's trash. Now, Tone, what do you hear me say all the time? When people have dumb arguments, I leave those people alone because that right there is a conversation ender. If I ask Tony a question on this show and Tony usually has an answer, you know why? Because Tony knows what the hell he's talking about. Respectfully, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can here, Tone, but you know me, I like to get messy a little bit too. Joseph Bell, you're the one that don't know what the hell you're talking about. Answer the question. Don't give me, it's not my job. It's not your job to say anything, but you're obviously writing, so give me an option. You see, Tone, they just talk, dog. That's all they do. They just talk. But go ahead, Tone, do your thing.
Yeah, so for the most part, like I was saying, the players put us in that position. I'm just pointing out the Baltimore game, because it correlates to what I'm saying about what they did, what happened with the Baltimore against. That was against Buffalo, right? The team that they couldn't seem to beat in the playoffs. So fact of the matter is, if players produce and execute, you don't talk about GMs. And that's when people complain about the GM so much, I'm going to always call them out, because if it was the other way around and we was winning and the players was winning playoff games and Super Bowls and you know who they won't get the praise and the glory to? The players. Quarterback for the most part. And then the coach. That's who they're going to be praising. But it's going to be that quarterback for sure. He's going to be the well-known. He's going to be doing all the commercials. He's going to be Mr. Marketable, and they're going to be doing everything. And you know what they're going to say about Chris Greer? Not a damn thing. They not going to say a damn thing. And that's the thing. What I like to point out. Let's keep the same energy because the people that you praise, the same way you praise them, why don't we criticize them?
Because they would make them look foolish. And I just want to, again, I got to respond, Tone. Let me ask you this, Lewis. First of all, that's not how you spell my name. It's Luis, but I'm going to leave that alone. If you're in a toxic relationship with a female, I don't have to read the rest. I'm going to stop you right there. I've been happily married for 14 years. I found that one. I don't have to answer those questions. That's irrelevant to me. Maybe you have those problems. I do not. I live a very healthy life with a beautiful woman for 14 years that has given me 2 beautiful kids. Enough said. I don't have to answer those questions. I don't know what a toxic relationship is. I don't know nothing about none of that. I live, Tone, you see how I'm living. I live a very good life. You see what I'm saying? So again, respectfully, I don't know nothing about that. Just like you can't still give me a general manager name, I don't know nothing about toxic relationships.
Von Joe, my good brother, managing is a results-based position. Yes, and this is, and football is a results-based profession, 100%. But that's why I said, if the players executed and it resulted in wins, we wouldn't talk about GMs. Like Howie Roseman had to be so good for so many years for people to know who he is. What's the GM name in Pittsburgh? Now the people that study and know these things and they spend their time on it, they probably could tell you what's the GM name in Cincinnati. Buffalo, like I know Buffalo, he's in our division, so I know Brendan Bean, but most people can't tell you that, right? Most people can't tell you who the GM is in Kansas City. They can't. I'm sorry, but they can't. Most people can't tell you who the GM is in LA Rams. They can't. But they can't tell you who the quarterback was that won that Super Bowl for them. They can't tell you what Joe Burrow did that going to AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. They can tell you that. They can tell you who the quarterback is in Buffalo. They can tell you that hands down. Everyone know who the quarterback is in Miami. They might not know who the GM is, but they know the players. Now, get it. I don't, and like I said, and this is all predicated on people being fair and keeping the same energy, because I give Lewis pushback about the GM stuff all the time, but I also give pushback when it comes to players. And I say, well, Chris Greer ain't had nothing to do with Tyreek dropping passes. Chris Greer ain't had nothing to do with Tua missing wide open receivers and tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. Chris Greer had nothing to do with us missing 28 tackles in Green Bay. He had nothing to do with that. He ain't had nothing to do with Ramsey falling on his behind in against New York Jets. He had nothing to do with that, right? That's player execution. I'm sorry to tell you, he didn't have nothing.
Hey, Tone,
go ahead.
Tone, let me ask you a question. In this year's draft, respectfully, right? Buffalo had a chance to pick up the receiver from Kansas City. What was the kid's name? The kid out of Texas that we were looking at? The speedster.
The speedster that they got Worthy, Xavier Worthy?
Xavier Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know they passed him up. The general manager in Buffalo passed him up for Keon Coleman.
No, not only did they pass him up, they traded the pick so Kansas City could get him.
Right. Let me ask you a question.
And they also traded the pick for them to get Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely. And let me ask you, in your opinion, Tone, is that a good general manager move to trade the pick that could have landed you Patrick Mahomes? You traded that away. Is that a good general manager?
No, sir.
Hey, Tone, let me ask you this. If you are a general manager and there's 2 players on the board, Xavier Worthy or Keon Coleman, who are you picking?
Xavier Worthy.
Oh, okay, cool. You know what Buffalo's general manager did? He got Keon Coleman. You want to give – I guarantee you people don't want to see Keon Coleman's numbers this year. I guarantee you they don't want to see that.
and he did he get injured a bit? But I know he didn't play all the games. But he did get injured, I
I
think.
believe he got hurt.
Yeah, he got injured. And then when he came back, he said his usage. Vondro, I agree with you, but Tony, he has everything to do with them being in the Dolphins uniform. Correct. And that's what I critique him on by if you're gonna extend them. I do say that. So I would never push back on it. Mike Best, he chose the players that are he chose the players that did all that though, right, Tony? He did choose those players. And I don't expect my GM to be perfect, but I do criticize you if you let those type of players or those type of problems linger around. So, but that is fair assessments. That is fair criticism. That's all
Can I
I'm
tell you
saying.
what? Can I tell you why that's not fair though?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, of course.
You want to know why a lot of people don't bring it up, but I know a guy, Tutu, that has brought it up, and I know another guy that has done research and looked at it, right, and has also admitted the flaw. You know, when we talk about the Buffalo Bill general manager, the Philadelphia Eagle general manager,
Mm-hmm.
the Houston Texan, the Baltimore Ravens, you know, when we talk about those guys, you know what those guys don't have to do that Chris Greer has to do? He has to answer to 4 other guys before he makes a move. And you want to
Mm-hmm.
know how I know that, Tone? Because when our general manager wanted to make a move for Calais Campbell and get a 4th-round pick, he was told no. The head
But
coach went up to talk to whoever, and they told Chris Greer no. Now, I just want to know, how many times you think the guy in Philadelphia has to go to answer to somebody?
not one time, but I'll be right back, Lou.
Okay, cool. The Baltimore Ravens, anybody else? But we always forget about the other guys that we all know he has to work with. And here comes the next movement of the goalposts. Well, why does he stay then? You want to know why he stays? Because he's probably making about $4.5–5 million a year. And I promise you one thing: there's not one person in this chat that if they were getting paid $5 million to do the job that Chris Greer ultimately gets to do on a day-to-day basis, who in the chat is quitting that job? Who in the chat is getting $5 million a year and saying, you know what, I don't get to make all the decisions, so I'm leaving. I'm leaving $5 million on the table. Go ahead, I'll wait. Let me see the names. Be honest with yourself. Y'all leaving $5 million? I'm just asking. What are we doing? What are we talking about here? It's a collective in Miami, and I can agree. I don't like it. And Kurt Greer should put his foot down. I've said that multiple times. Again, the argument is if not Chris Greer is perfect, or can he get better? I've conceded all those arguments. Again, when you come out and you say, though, that Chris Greer is to blame for bad play on the field, I'm sorry. Y'all miss me with that. Y'all can have that argument all the time. Well, who kept him in here? Cool. Every general manager keeps it. Why is Mark Andrews on the team? Tony just told you for the last 2 years he's had him on fantasy, and I'm just saying he's not putting up those numbers. Why is he still in Baltimore when Isaiah Likely is the better, cheaper, younger tight end? Why is he still here? The general manager down there is keeping him. We don't never want to talk about other people's failures, though. Hey, Tone, I see you're back. Baltimore made one of the biggest moves coming into the last season. They went and got Derrick Henry. You know what they said? That should put Baltimore over the top. They should be
Mm-hmm.
in the Super Bowl. They were Super Bowl favorites. They lost in the divisional round. Was that a failure by the general manager?
Based on a lot of these people, they would say so.
Did the general manager fail because he's the one that brought in Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry got 2,000 yards? All I'm saying is when Tyreek Hill had 1,800 yards, you know what people told me? What was the end result?
Mm.
Okay, cool. So Derrick Henry got you 2,000 yards in the regular season. What was the end result?
Mm.
You want to know why Timothy Washington went on another platform and said me and Tony are the 2 best debaters in this community? Because it's the truth.
Mm.
Y'all can't mess with us all up here, dog. Y'all can try. It looks cute. I get it. Hey, it makes for great conversation. But I'm sorry. Y'all ain't got to agree. But y'all are going to take y'all's medicine. Y'all going to hear me when I tell y'all are dead wrong. Now, does Chris Greer have to get better? Absolutely. There's not a man, woman, or child walking this God's green earth that is perfect. By no stretch of the imagination is Chris Greer perfect. But is y'all trying to sit here and tell me that he's the worst general manager that has ever made a pick, drafted, traded, brought in, he's the worst ever? No, I'm sorry. I ain't trying to hear that.
I would say this, and Vondo, you make great points. Dave, shout out to you. I ain't bringing that chat up because I don't like to hate. Shout out to you. If you do a performance evaluation, the Ravens GM has outperformed Chris Greer, Tony Ancient Lewis. That's a fact. You know what, Vonjo, if you grade him against the success of, I guess, the Miami Dolphins, or the success of, the team that's under him, but based on the team that he put on the field and the expectations, I would say he would admit that he fell short. And if he was to judge himself based upon outperforming Chris Greer, I think he wouldn't have answer for you guys, because he wouldn't think about that. That's not his mindset. His mindset is he put that team together to win Super Bowls, and he did put a team together that had the capability of winning Super Bowls. You know what the difference is? When it came down to the clutch moment, the one of the players on the field did not execute. But you know what happened? They do. Hold on, wait. Let me finish this.
No, yeah,
they
go ahead,
do
go ahead.
execute for the most part, right? You like the way Lamar Jackson won MVPs. You like the way they brought in Derrick Henry. You like the way, even without Derrick Henry, they had a hard, tough no defense and offense that's gonna run the ball, and whether you know it or not. And you like the players that he put on the field. But if those players wasn't executing, he would be getting all the criticism. And all we trying to say over here is that when you criticize him, please make sure you bring the players along. Well, I'm saying bring the players with him, because the only way he's going to become a great GM is if the players that he assembled perform and execute when their names and their numbers are called. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not Greer. I criticize him. I critique him. I do. But I do have an understanding that I can't criticize him for the things he have no control over. But go ahead. You were going to intervene and say something.
No, I was just going to say, Tone, yeah, remember, you were in that Twitter space. I don't know if you were around your phone or you were listening. But Bonjo, see, we got to temper expectations. When I was talking, Bonjo made the comment of, well, is he better than Chris Greer? I thought we had established in the space, Bonjo, that we're not debating if he's better than Chris Greer. We're talking about the expectations, right? And Tony just basically said it, so I don't really have to say it again. The expectations for the Dolphins is getting over the hump. If that's what y'all want to use, cool. I can see that argument. He's failed. He hasn't got us over the hump. Okay, cool. But Bonjo, Tony, is the one that told me in the Twitter space the expectation for Baltimore is different. They've already gotten over the hump. Their expectations is Super Bowls. So if that's the expectation, just like Chris Greer has failed in the expectation of getting the Dolphins over the hump, well, then the general manager in Baltimore has failed for getting them to the Super Bowl level because they've never been. You see how that works? We're just talking about expectations. The expectations of for the Baltimore Ravens is not winning the division. They've done that. The expectation is not winning a playoff game. They've done that. Their expectation is going to the Super Bowl. And by y'all's definition, the general manager has not put a good enough team on the field to get them to the Super Bowl. Is that wrong to say, Tony?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay, and that's what we're talking about.
Stezo Josh said, "Hey Tony, will you do a film breakdown on the pros and cons of Minka Fitzpatrick?" I would like to do that. I'm not even gonna lie. I would like to do that. I have a schedule that we running based on his off season, and we've been getting breaking news, so I still have a schedule that I could run. If I could fit that into what we got going on, that would be something worth my while. But yeah, I would consider that. Be honest with you, Timothy Watson say y'all should do a show ranking GMs. You know what, Timothy? We should, but half of the people wouldn't know who the GMs were. They would just be taking our work. We should do a show ranking GMs and put some bogus names in there just to see if people could call them out. Like I'm not gonna do it, but I would put the New York Giants GM name in there. You put a bogus name and see if y'all recognize whether that's the Giants GM or not. And last time I checked, they've won multiple Super Bowls within the past 20 years. So that GM should have a lot of recognition. He did take down one of the most dominant dynasties that the NFL have seen. But I'm quite sure half of the people in this chat, maybe 90% of the people in the chat, don't even know who he is. And he went viral for getting rid of Saquon Barkley. Y'all still don't know his name.
Hey, Tone, let me ask you a question. And see, tell me if you agree with this. According to these people, the general
my
manager.
Bad. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
According to these people, Tone, and I'm going to ask you the question. According to the chat, right, the general manager is supposed to help every player. He's supposed to guide them, help them, make them better, right? That's what they're saying. Let me ask you this, Tone. Is there a chance that Josh Allen makes the general manager look good in Buffalo?
That's one. It's not a chance. That's 100% facts.
How about Lamar Jackson? Do you think in a game where, let's say, the Baltimore Ravens ain't running the ball good, or the receivers dropping a pass here and there, does Lamar Jackson make enough plays that during the game that you're like, how many times have you watched the Raven game, Tone? This is a better question. And been like, man, that general manager won that game over there.
Not one time.
But I guarantee you've uttered the words, man, Lamar Jackson, man, without him, they don't win that game. Have you said that?
Yes, sir.
You know why? Because Lamar Jackson is playing in between them white lines. It's funny how in the Dolphin community, our general manager our general manager, Tone, has to hold everybody's hand, has to complete passes, has to make tackles, has to execute blocking schemes. He has to do all that. But nobody in Miami, from the player perspective, can ever bail out Chris Greer. Can never make a play and be like, hey, you know what? They can never do that. It's always the general manager. Go ahead, Tone. Do your thing.
Just to add to that argument, because you made a great a thought popped up in my head about players making GMs look good. So I'm going to show you. I got one for you. Do we know who the GM was for the Jets when they drafted Sam Darnold?
Couldn't tell you.
But didn't he make that GM look terrible? Made him look horrible. But that same player, let's we talk about execution and making GM look right? Minnesota drafted, they traded up to go draft J.J. McCarthy. The boy went down. They bought in Sam Darnold. You think Sam Darnold made that GM look good over there in Minnesota?
Thought he did.
Wasn't they talking about what a great move that was? Bringing him in, that they overcame that top 10 pick. Now this is the same player when I can show you when execution make GMs look better or teams look better. For people to say now that GM in New York Jets couldn't make Sam Darnold a better player. The same way the GM in Minnesota didn't make him a better player. You know who made him a better player? Probably his positional coaches and his coaching. But Sam Darnold put in the work to become a better player, at least perform on the field. So I'm just showing y'all when players execute, they make the GMs look good. I'm sorry. What about John Lynch? What about John Lynch? Would you say what that dude they moved up for? Trey Lance or something like that? But you know what? Listen. Great minds thinking like, look, right on top. I didn't even have to say it. Timothy was thinking the same thing. Y'all forgot about Trey Lance because Brock Purdy went on the field and made John Lynch look very good.
You don't even
y'all forgot how much I bet you we don't even know how much John Lynch gave up to get Trey Lance.
I do. That's 3 first-round picks.
But the player that he brought in the 7th round, matter of fact, he was Mr. Irrelevant, put on in the field, and no one criticized John Lynch for that foolish, the biggest example of that was a terrible decision that he made. But Brock Purdy made y'all forget all about it. I ain't hear y'all congratulate or he still made a dumb decision. Ain't nobody talking about it. They still ain't not one person said John Lynch was a bad GM. Not a single soul.
Not nobody, Tone. I can't believe this dude is still in the chat. It's overall a ridiculous argument to say since you can't name anyone better. Again, I don't have to read the rest because the rest is nonsense. Tone, I asked the dude just to give me another general manager's name.
Oh.
I didn't say nothing about better. I just said, can you please give me a name? And he's still in the chat with the same thing.
Game Boy say, our GM could sign Jesus Christ as a quarterback, and we were complaining about too many Hail Marys.
That's a fact. That's a fact, bro. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Oh man. Listen, shout out. Listen, I'm going to give y'all credit. You know, the chat. Listen, we got the best chat in the building. I will give y'all that. Y'all stand on y'all point. Y'all know Louis gonna make y'all stand on y'all square. But I tell you what, when y'all go into them other chats, they ain't gonna be able to touch y'all. Right. It was a bad decision, but Purdy's decision outshined it because he still had a major. Okay, but followed by great success. That's the result. That's the results in all his decisions and all his choices. Right. But what about the example that I made about Sam Darnold?
Huh? I cannot believe people really think.
Vonjo.
I cannot believe people really think, Tony, that John Lynch evaluated Brock Purdy as a 7th round pick. The last pick in the draft. You mean to tell me that was John Lynch's guy? Bro, he shot a fish in the barrel. You ever heard that analogy?
Yep.
It was luck, bro. For people to come out here and think, and especially my brother Von Joe, to think that John Lynch knew Brock Purdy or had an bro, stop. You know what John Lynch, when he made that pick, you know who he thought he was picking? Skylar Thompson. Stop, bro. Like, is that what we're doing? We're going to make it seem like John Lynch knew what he was getting in Brock Purdy? Stop. If that was the case, if Von Joe was right, Tony, you know what he would have did? He wouldn't have traded us 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance. He would have just drafted Brock Purdy.
And he would have never had him at the third string quarterback either.
Like, what are we talking about, bro? Oh, okay, right here. See,
he didn't evaluate, but he was lucky enough to hit. I didn't say he knew him, but it was his choice.
So now
it's only
Chris
a good.
Greer has to be lucky. So now he has to be lucky. So now we're talking about Chris Greer just being lucky. All he has to do is be lucky. Stop, bro. What do we? So is John Lynch again? So because he got lucky, does that make John Lynch a good general manager?
Yeah, I don't want a general manager based off of luck. I don't. It's just, you know. Oh, Mystic said Brian Greasy was the one who told John Lynch to job Brock Purdy. All right. Vonjo said, I'm saying he told him. We are, but what we saying is we get what you're saying, Vonjo, but I don't understand why y'all fail to realize it's because the players executed. That I get what you're saying. You can say all that and no one, at least me, I'm not giving pushback on that. I'm conceding the argument that, yes, he made the choice. But guess what happened? After he made the choice, those players had to execute. He didn't make them execute. And that's why if that was the case, right, you would have no situations like Sam Darnold over there to the Vikings. Them situations wouldn't happen. That's all I'm saying. You would not have quarterbacks resurrecting their career. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have the Kurt. Well, everybody missed on Kurt Warner. You know what I'm saying? But when Mark Boser went down, the Rams had invested in him from the Canadian League, and he turned out to be Kurt Warner. That GM didn't evaluate Kurt Warner like that. He got lucky. But Kurt Warner performed. So no one is questioning that decision.
Hey, Tone, you bring up Devon A-Chain to me all the time. Dave brings them up. G always defending him, brings him up. Talk about in every game, he doesn't quit. He's productive. He's one of those guys, right? I just want to ask Tone, G, Dave, if you're still listening, I'll ask y'all, who drafted Devon A-Chain?
Coach Greer. We
giving him credit? Not one time have I heard, all we talk about it, we highlight the misses. Now, Tone, for 2.5 years, all I heard was Liam Eichenberg was drafted by Chris Greer. Now, how many times have you heard Devon A-Chain was drafted by Chris Greer? How many times?
Not once.
Okay, cool. You see what I'm talking about? But let the fan base tell it. Let everybody else tell it. Chris Grier has never picked one good play. We just highlight his misses. We just talk about his misses. But hey, if he hits on somebody, no, we don't talk about that. He don't get no credit. They're just trash. Because everybody else that he got is trash. You see what I'm saying? Come on, bro, stop. People are in their feelings. I'm tired of having these dumb arguments with people. I really am. It's pointless at this point.
Yeah, that is a fact. I mean, he said, what about Sean Tunzel said, what about scouting? Scouting is a big part of the front office, right? It is, but it still don't change the fact that all the scouts missed on Kurt Warner. For the most part, all the scouts passed up on Randy Moss. They was willing to pass up on Lamar Jackson. And the scouts, Oakland. Were they the Oakland Raiders at that time? I think they were. They scouts thought Jamarcus Russell was the big dog. You remember when all the scouts had the biggest debate about Ryan Leaf versus Peyton Manning? Who should you take first? Yeah, the scouts was doing that. You understand? So I'm not taking away scouting away from it. What I'm saying is, whether you scouting, whether you drafting, whether you picking them up off free agent or they UDFAs, the fact of the matter is those players has to have to execute. Yes, we can and we will give. Well, I can and I am going to criticize him because you chose those players. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that you know what. Because you know what we did? He chose Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones wasn't nowhere near as good as he was here as he was in Houston. Nowhere near. Brandon Jones was rated one of the highest rated safeties in the league last year. That ain't had nothing to do with our GM drafted him. Our GM scouted him. He just didn't perform like that. So all I'm saying is, if we gonna criticize him, let's not forget about the rest of the players or the rest. Like, this is for me. This is for the people that only say it's Chris Grier. He's the sole problem. So a new GM is gonna come in here and get and make Tyreek stop dropping balls.
Absolutely.
Or pass it. Yep. That's what the GM gonna do. A new GM is gonna come in here and say, you know what, Tua? I'm here now. So when you crack the back of your head on that floor, there will not be a concussion. He's gonna do that.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
He isn't. Like, come on. I get it. Criticize him for keeping him here. I would. But to make it seem like he's the reason that they're not performing, he chose the wrong players. Nah, bro, it's more than just that.
Hey, Tone, I'm glad somebody brought this up in the chat. I've been waiting for this comment all night long.
NFL is not cursed.
What about scouting?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, I know you brought it up, and I was trying to hit it, and I threw myself out. I had to come back. Let me address it. Nick Needham was an undrafted player, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a good scouting move?
Mm-hmm.
How about Kader Kohu?
Yep.
Good scouting move? If we want to evaluate the scouting aspect of this team, I would debate that's one of Chris Grier's best strengths. Is bringing in UDFA. Do you see the rosters of guys that we bring in from the UDFA standpoint? That what the production they give to this team? Has anyone ever noticed that over the years? Tone, have you noticed that? Some of the UDFAs he's brought in and given a chance that have panned out. Have you noticed that, Tone?
Yeah, we always say Nick Needham and we always say Kader Kohu. We say that all the time. I would like this dude Johnson that he brought in for Arkansas. Armstrong, I'm sorry, not Johnson. Armstrong. He might be a good one. I think that tight end from where is he from? Iowa State. No, he was. The tight end that we brought in, he might be good, and the cornerback as well. But listen, we know he's good at bringing what's the safety number 22. He's been a great addition on our special teams, and when our safety went down, Elijah Campbell. You know what I'm saying? What I would say is he's not bad at scouting. I would not say that. Now, I would say the players have to execute. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. But listen, man, USA is playing. I've been told my boys that I was gonna meet them out there. You know what I'm saying? Got my house, something waiting on us, bro. So, Lou, you got any more you want to cover, or you've been cooking a little early. We're approaching an hour and a half.
No, no, no. I'm good, Tone. I'm good.
All right, listen, we're still 29 of y'all in the building. Y'all was rocking it here today. Listen, shout out to everybody standing on their square. Von Joe, Sean, what's his name? The one you Joseph Bell. All y'all that was in the chat. Mike Best, Timothy Washington, my boy, my boy Game Boy 305 Crypto. I don't know why you always over here. You don't serve no purpose over here, sir. Shout out to Crypto in the building. Listen, shout out to the chat, Delusional Patriot friends. I see all y'all. Y'all always rocking. Hey, listen, y'all help make this show run like how we do. You know what I'm saying? I listen, I love when y'all Mystic, shout out to you. I love when y'all go back and forth with Lewis. I'm not even gonna lie. I love when y'all go back and forth with Lewis. But listen, we about to get up out of here. We will see y'all Friday, 7:30 is. Make sure y'all hitting that subscribe button. Listen, get the boys to 600. One thing about it, y'all know y'all gonna come over here and be entertained. Y'all know y'all gonna get 100% facts and truth, and we're gonna be honest with you. There's no fluff over here. Whether our players and our front office want to bring the fluff in the building, you're not gonna get it over here. So we're gonna hold everyone accountable. And listen, appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all keep on pushing out our content, helping us build this platform. Because listen, we do this for y'all. Lou, you want to get us up out of here?
Yeah. Tony, Alex, Jess, myself, and Christopher Greer.
And the
producer.
Oh yeah.
No. And the producer. How would I forget? I'm going to tell y'all one thing. Tony already told you. Y'all see us again Friday, 7:30-ish. But if y'all don't think that all of us hold a revolver that goes bang, 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 y'all are sadly mistaken. We out this thing. Peace.
Yes, sir.